Property Roundtable.
Hello everybody, this is the PRT Landed Series and I'm going to do a review based on my personal take on the first half of landed property market review for 2026. And my name is Harvey for those who haven't watched me before. And basically this is a landed series where I give my opinions as well as my reviews on the market, as well as personal case studies and things that I've gone through, both as a realtor for my clients and as a homeowner of a landed home. So in first half of 2026, okay, for those who already watched me before, typically I will give a review of the results lah. It's the report card for the market, right? So some of you may have already read it online, but this is the take. So for the first half of 2026, right, the landed market still went up, yay, 2.2%. Compared to the first half of 2025, 2025 went up 2.6%. So basically, this story doesn't change lah. We all know that the landed market is now going into a phase of like maybe price consolidation, and the nuancing has like basically it still goes up, but not at that kind of traction that we saw a few years back. Rather, I would celebrate the fact that the landed market still has demonstrated its resilience towards given that the macro environment is not so good, and I think there's a lot more things that people are considering when buying a property in the first half of 2026. So for first half of 2026, the market went up by 2.2% versus the first half of 2025, it went up by 2.6%. So this story doesn't really change. I think that generally the market is in the phase of consolidation. I think few years back, the market was very exuberant. It was, I would say, in a stage of like probably a very sharp growth. This is good news for buyers who are out there. They say, okay, finally we got some time to like really consider what are the things I want to buy before the price runs away. But for the seller, I think it also shows that even given the fact of price increases, right, that buyers are still willing to pay the prices and to shift the market upwards a bit. So, but I think we should celebrate not so much about the fact that the prices have gone up, or are not happy that the fact that price only go up by 2.2%, because I think in the first half of 2026, the market is quite challenging. I think the macro environment hasn't been that great, albeit it was supported by very attractive like interest rates right now. So I think 2.2% is a result that I'll take. The story about landed being fundamentally the asset class that people go towards, right, it doesn't change. I think you all here are due already, right? That the limited supply, healthy demand from new buyers or even upgrading. I think that doesn't change. But I think that what changed in 2026 is how more educated the people are towards buying a landed property. They have seen how things move and they are more deliberate when it comes to their decisions. So when they see these things in the market, right, they are out there searching, but they will also search for something that will suit them for a longer holding period. So therefore, I think price 2.2% up is great. And another piece of news that is nothing to like really something that we don't already not know is that the bulk of the transactions happen in first half. Over 58% of them are for terrace homes, and 30% semi-D and 11.7% for detached. Now this composition itself, right, resonates the logic of landed. There are more terrace houses than there are semi-D, there are more semi-Ds than there are detached. So it definitely shows that the market is trending in a right way in terms of distribution. Actually, what I would like to point out more is this thing whereby in the first half of 2026, right, there were 122 detached homes that were transacted compared to 97 detached homes in the first half of 2025. This is the data that I feel is the most interesting, because now we see more big homes being transacted. Typically, big homes fetch a higher quantum, and the higher quantum also shows that the people are willing to commit to this market and commit to a bigger home purchase, right? Even with the backdrop of the market being this way, it shows the commitment and the conviction that the people have towards the market. So overall, I think the numbers for the volume was 1043 for first half of 2026 and 1009 for 2025 first half, right? It's not much difference. And I think for Terrace numbers and semi-Ds, it's pretty much, I would say, neutral lah. Pretty much the same. Now, the purchaser profile has remained relatively same. I think the HDB upgraders were 11.2% in first half of 2025, second half is 10.5%. So if you look at it, it's relatively the same lah. But actually this is quite interesting though, because HDB market isn't exactly doing super well now. But we still see that even in the low volume transaction or the market being not as great or as vibrant, because people were mentioning, wow, because all these HDB owners now sell their homes for so expensive, right? They got the money to pull upgrade. I think this story maybe doesn't really form that narrative anymore. I think that there are people who are selling their HDB at fair market value, but are willing to top up or maybe go to the next bound to a landed home faster than they used to go through the HDB condo and landed route, right? It's because they truly believe in the landed segment. And yeah lah, maybe some people say, yeah lah, people how I want to stay landed. I think beyond that, I think there are a lot of logical buyers that are served out there. They buy the landed segment, not so much of like face value. I know a lot of clients who bought landed property through me who don't drive a fancy car. They take public transport. They see a lot more value in putting their hard-earned money into a landed home in Singapore because they believe in the segment. And it also shows that the private owners who move from private, let's say condo to a landed, or landed continuing into a landed is almost even. It's like 88.2% in first half last year, 88.4% in first half 2026. Means the composition of this profile buyers hasn't changed. So there is the same amount of people that's doing this progression from what they originally have, like HDB or condo, up to a landed. So it underscores the fact that if Singaporeans don't believe in the landed market, right, this they could do a lot of parallel moves. They could do like maybe private to private, condo to condo. They could do a HDB to HDB. You don't really have to go towards the landed segment. But I think there is this innate belief that landed properties offer the best value in long term, offers a lot of like wealth preservation and as well as exclusivity. Another thing that we notice is like the higher quantum purchases. So first half of 2025, right, there were over 58% of the transactions, right, were actually below 5 million. But now you see in the first half of 2026, right, that has fallen to 47%. Whereas between the 5 to 10 million mark, right, it has risen from 33% to 42%. Means there's 9% more of the total transaction volume, right, happening between the 5 to 10 million. What does that mean? It means that firstly, the landed prices have escalated. Quantums have escalated. It doesn't mean that it's worth more. It means that the hurdle rate to get into the market is higher. And second, it also means that perhaps the valuations at the market prices and asking of the listings in the market are now above 5 million. And for the deal to be done, right, it will land between the 5 to 10 million mark. And early in the life cycle of this channel, we talked about landed properties at 4 million. We talked about landed properties going to 4.5 million. And truth be told, in the channel itself, we also, I myself have mentioned before that we will most likely see a 5 million mark in near future. And this is already showing its value of showing up to 5 to 10 million. 5 to 10 million is not a small quantum in Singapore. I think 5 million and above, right, it shows that the kind of buyers, right, are definitely in the category where they are either consolidating their wealth. It doesn't mean that they are rich. It could also mean that instead of buying 2 properties, they are consolidating their wealth. Or it could mean that they've been saving up and making that one quantum leap from perhaps the original, maybe EC of 1/million. They sold it for 2/, and now they take a loan of 3 million and they are jumping straight to the $5 million mark. But the good thing is the activity remain very like active. There's still a lot of active transactions. And above 10 million, it has risen about 2 percentage points to from 7.9 to 10.6. So there you go. as the quantum rose, right, there were also more transactions that lie within this mark. So for a buyer, you watch, because if you wait at the buy line, right, you will realize that regardless whether it's the seller asking for a higher price, or regardless whether landed properties are worth more beyond the 5 million mark, even for entry level terrace, which typically of a bigger land size, for example, right, you will be looking at a $5 million mark entry level. So these higher price brackets will become more restrictive if that's something that you're gunning for, and B, if the higher price points are something you're considering, you could end up having to do a lot more consolidation before you buy your landed home. You may need to sell both instead of selling one to afford one, which a number of my clients did that previously, of buying landed home in a single name. Now I would see more people having to do a more of a consolidation of selling two to buy one. As a summary for the first half of 2026, in my experience and in the cases that I dealt with thus far, there is a silent confidence in the market that the landed segment is going to benefit from a lot more acceptance versus old days. Like, a lot of people last time say that, oh, buying landed home, there's a lot more things that you need to take care of, you need to maintain. Then after a while, they say, actually, in the condo market, I also have to pay maintenance fees. Then we talk about, I don't want to stay landed home because it's not very convenient. But as the transport nodes keep growing, case in point, let's say somewhere like Lentor, or Teachers Estate, near there. Last time there wasn't an MRT. Now there's an MRT. So it makes certain landed estates that didn't used to be viable from a transportation or convenience angle more convenient. So if you look at things like that and the rising affluence, there will be more people who will be considering landed homes as an option. So if this is something new to you, have never watched any of the chat of our episodes before, never watched a landed series before, the takeaway for this first half of 2026 only shows that wallet sizes, or in terms of the budget requirements, have increased. I think transaction volumes remain the same even with the macro environment being this way. And the price still grow, albeit at a slower pace, but still growing. So the golden triangle of whether there's demand, there's sales, and there's price increase, right? If it lands squarely in what you think a real estate product should be, and in the case where you feel that if you need justification or data points to form a conviction towards buying a landed home in Singapore, or thirdly, just because you feel that, okay lah, other people are doing, also there must be something good about it, you want to FOMO into this, also doesn't matter. But more importantly is the logic and the data points prove that the landed segment continues to attract people to make their move and progress upwards. So just as a final point, just something very interesting is the highest quantum, right, that was transacted in this first half, right, was actually 64.9 million. And it happened along Nassim Road. So to end this episode today, if you want to navigate this landed scene, which I've done successfully for a lot of clients in the last few years, right, you can definitely contact me via the WhatsApp form, and I think we can have a deeper conversation about it. But more importantly, in this rising market, or in this segment, there's a lot more technical hoops and hurdles you need to jump through, both as a realtor that has been transacting in landed, and both also as a homeowner lah, who basically helps clients navigate to the next step beyond the purchase as to what they should do with the home after they purchase. This is definitely a podcast that you should subscribe to, and if you can contact me through the WhatsApp form, that would be great, and we can have a further conversation. And thanks for watching another episode of PRT Landed Series.
Property Roundtable.